My name is Henry Cato, and I'm the founder and executive director of Educating Athletes. First, I want to thank all of the coaches that are participating in today's COVID-19 recruiting webinar. As a nonprofit, Educating Athletes' mission is to educate athletes and parents on the various issues that affect high school athletics, whether it be recruiting, academics, opioids, concussions, and any other topics of that nature. The COVID-19 pandemic has affected all of us in different ways. But today, we want to address the impact on college recruiting. So let's just get started. I'd like to ask each coach to introduce yourselves and provide a little background on your school. So we'll start with Coach Hall, who's the head coach of Bates College.
My name is Coach Malik Hall. I am the head coach at Bates College by way of University of Pennsylvania. I'm going into my third year. Here at Bates, we are a Division III NESCAC institution. We are a test optional institution as well. The one thing that is important to understand about being a Bobcat and being at Bates College is we understand that schools have a fit. We're looking for a Bobcat fit. That Bobcat fit is a liberal arts, inclusion institution in education. We believe in educating the whole student and transforming them in their 4 years of being a part of Bates College. Adding the student athlete piece and football piece into it, we're trying to take our program into the next phase, which is competing for a NESCAC title. It's well known that Bates has not won a NESCAC title, and we want that to be well known that we're attempting and putting all our efforts into winning a NESCAC title. We are also located in Lewiston, Maine, at an enrollment of 1,200 people.
Excellent. Thank you. I'd like to ask Coach Carter, who's the head coach of Juniata College.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Josh Carter. I'm the head football coach at Juniata College by way of Muhlenberg College. We're located in Huntington, Pennsylvania, which is about 20 miles south of State College, PA. So we sit in the middle of the state. We play in the Centennial Conference, Division III, NCAA. And we, like Coach Hall said with Bates, we're looking to establish ourselves as an up-and-coming program in the Centennial. The conference has been tremendously strong, has had 3 teams in the Elite Eight and 2 in the Final Four the last 2 years, and we're looking to be the next program to rise up to that level.
Thank you, Coach Carter. Coach Palazzo.
My name is Mike Palazzo. I'm the recruiting coordinator and receivers coach at Montclair State. I've been there for 12 years. I'm an alum, played from 08 to 11. And we are right outside New York City, about 15, 20 minutes away. Those of you guys that know North Jersey know that it actually would take a lot longer than 15 or 20 minutes. But if there's no traffic, you can get there pretty quick. We're a very large school. We have 21,000 students at Montclair State. So our campus is much more like a Division I size campus than it is a Division III. And we have a lot of majors to choose from. So when we recruit, we have a broad spectrum of student athletes that we can recruit from. We have 300 majors. So the only major we don't have is engineering. That's the big one. But other than that, our business program is very strong, right outside the city. Communications is another up-and-coming program at our school. And we've always been known as an education school.
Excellent. Thank you. Coach Kreider.
Hi, I'm Matt Kreider. I'm a defensive coordinator at Kean University. What we're looking for in our athletes are good character people who are phenomenal football players. We're looking for character. When we talk about that, it's guys who are in the right place at the right time and do the right thing. Guys who are motivated, who want to work hard and want to be surrounded by hardworking guys. We talk about location. We're 16 miles outside of New York City in Union, New Jersey, with a train station on campus that can take you underneath the Manhattan in about 30 minutes, depending on what traffic looks like on every stop that you're going to take on a train. But so as far as our university goes, again, similar, like we're looking at business is phenomenal. Right now, we just opened up Heinz Hall, brand new business building, great for education, health sciences, phenomenal athletic training facility. So as far as character guys that we're looking for, we talk about it, show up on film, be that guy but you don't have to be that same guy on the field as you are in math class.
Excellent. Thank you. And the one Division II school that we have on this webinar is Coach Hicks from AIC.
Hey guys, thank you for having me. Like Coach said, I'm Coach Hicks. I am the wide receivers coach and recruiting coordinator here at American International College. We are a Division II program, private liberal arts university located in Springfield, Massachusetts. We're about 90 minutes from Boston, about 2 hours from New York City. We compete in the Northeast 10. And just like all the other coaches are saying, what we're looking for out of a potential student athlete here at AIC, we're looking for a guy who's really looking to leave here the best version of himself athletically, academically, and socially. So it's not a place where we're just looking for guys who can ball on the field and compete at a high level athletically. We expect the same type of standard in the classroom and in the community. When it comes to some of our major courses or focuses, health science, occupational therapy, and physical therapy are definitely elite, along with criminal justice and business.
Excellent. Thank you. So let's get started. My first question is for Coach Carter. What has been the biggest impact on your recruiting process due to COVID-19?
Realistically, COVID-19 has allowed us to get into the class of 21 a little sooner because of the quarantine that's affected pretty much all of us. We missed out on spring ball. So with that, we haven't had as much time to review film with our guys. We're talking to them, but it's allowed us to reach out to high school coaches and potential student athletes a little sooner than we might otherwise have been able to. So that's really been the main thing for us. We've been able to set up and start developing those relationships a little sooner, a little earlier in the process.
Interesting. That leads me to the next question, which is, do you guys, and this is addressed to Coach Palazzo, have you guys seen that the recruiting process is moving faster or slower because of COVID-19? It seems for the Division I schools, they're moving quickly. When they give offers, I guess kids are sort of anxious and they may not think that they're going to get another offer. So then they're pretty much committing faster than before. Do you see the same thing, Coach Palazzo?
Absolutely. I think the pandemic definitely has an effect on it, but it's been moving quicker and quicker every year. With social media, everything's right in front of you. Everything's instant. Like I got notification right away. So a kid gets an offer, the kid, sees that school, he's interested, bang, bang, bang. I mean, with social media, everything happens a lot quicker. And I think that's been going on for a couple of years now, not just because of the pandemic.
Yeah. And Coach Hicks, has the NCAA extension of the letter of intent made an impact on your recruiting process?
Right. We haven't seen much of a change, to be honest, just because of some of the dead periods that were put on. I don't believe kids were allowed to sign until April 16th. So for us, it really hasn't affected anything. I mean, we've been able to give some guys who maybe needed to fix some things academically, finish out the year, that now are eligible to compete in NCAA football and can be admitted into our university. But overall, we really haven't been too affected by it.
Coach Hall, how do you overcome the lack of college visits on campus? How are you dealing with that?
That's, I think right now that's everyone's challenge. I think we are in virtual mode. I kind of feel a little minority report-ish, if you will, because everything that we have to do is to make a splash digitally. Though that's the world that we're already in, we're limited to just that. So we're putting together different pieces to give everyone the best feel of Bates College as possible. We have an online virtual tour that you can sign up for at bates.edu. That will give you an academic look at our institution. We're also in the process of publishing an athletic version of that, just the same, more specific to football. But again, I think in this day and age, and what's available at the fingertips of the cell phones, the tablets, and laptops, I think you just have to do the best you can to present your program to their lens, because you don't have the ability to, woo them, if you will, on campus right now. And so as a coaching staff, and like Coach, many of the other coaches suggested, we have to operate as is already. But what this does is just centralize your focus. And now it's phone calls, it's Twitter DMs, it's Zoom calls now. And so we adapt. I think that's a part of the football coach life. So,
agree. Coach Kreider, now that everything's being online and piggybacking on what Coach Hall was just saying, do you see an opportunity to expand your recruiting footprint?
Yeah, no, I mean, and that's a great point. And I think it all depends on the university, because you talk about the difference between a state university and a private university and the aid that you're able to give out to certain students. It still remains the same for us, where there is an out-of-state fee for a state university in New Jersey. So we are going to be, we have the ability to now go out and recruit more guys, or be really under the microscope more so with as many high schools as we can in the tri-state area. But it doesn't change the fact that the financial aid is what it is. So your target student, you might be able to reach out a little bit more. But I think a lot of the due diligence is on the recruits as well, because, we talk about, we have these digital tours. These guys, you got to watch them. You have to take the time. It may be a 7-minute video, but we're in the society of 25-second video is the maximum we're willing to watch. So making sure that these student athletes and the recruits themselves are doing their homework and watching these videos and asking questions about them. I think, it does expand your footprint, but also at the same time, we're still recruiting similar areas to what we have been in the past.
Coach Carter, I'm wondering, how do you perform your due diligence now that you can't see them, face to face? I mean, you have them standing next to a door. Do you on a Zoom call? I mean, how do you do it?
You got to use everything that you have. All things. From reaching out to coaches and hoping that you're getting the truth. You use a doorway. You see them standing in a doorway. You can use that. One thing that we use at lower levels, and we use that whether we're dealing with this or not, is if we have a guy that's been to camps at bigger schools, they typically hide and wait them. We'll reach out to those places, and that will help us out. If a larger school, a higher level school, has already had a kid in camp last year, that we can get an accurate height based on that time. It might be a year old, but we have an idea. We know he's not smaller than that. So we're going to use every avenue possible to do our due diligence on a prospective student athlete.
Excellent. This next one is going to be around the square. So each person, I would like to make it brief, but at least share your comments about this. And my question is really, in this environment, how do you convince a prospect that he should go to your school? What's the value proposition? How do you convince? And I think that Coach Hall, talked a little bit about that. But first, I'll ask Coach Palazzo if he could talk to the value prop from Montclair.
I think you just got to highlight your strengths of your school. I always tell guys when I go and recruit them that I'm an alum of Montclair State. So, of course, I love the place and I had a great experience there. But just because I had a great experience doesn't mean that my recruit is going to feel the same way. I think it's important as a recruiter to understand that not everybody is going to be into what you're saying, and not everybody is going to come that you recruit. So I think it's important just to be yourself. And as a recruiter, I think being the first person that they're going to talk to, you're the doorway to the university, and they have to kind of jive with you. They have to feel really comfortable with you. So I think it's important to build that rapport with your recruit, and then just highlight the strengths of the school and go from there. Sometimes I can do everything in my power to recruit a kid. I could be texting him, calling him, making graphics, the whole nine. And at the end of the day, he might choose another school. I can't be upset about that. It's about the right fit for the recruit and trying to do the right thing for every player.
Coach Hicks?
Yeah, I would say something very similar. I think during this time right now, obviously you want to sell that campus feel and get students or student athletes and mom and dad and brothers and sisters on campus and giving them a real life experience of what it's going to be like for their son or daughter or nephew in the fall. But this is a really great time for everybody just to take a step back. And, all these coaches, I'm sure, would agree. The game is built on relationships, whether it's within coaching or player and coaching. This is a perfect time for coaches to really build a rapport with the recruits. And like we said, a lot of Division II and Division III, we're almost a little bit ahead of the game because we're getting spring ball going. We're taking care of things that we need to, and maybe not. We're always recruiting, but maybe not as detailed as we are right now. So we're really getting that opportunity to be a little bit more proactive, build some relationships with players, and going back to the whole competitive edge deal. Some of these heights and weights are incorrect, and some of these GPAs are incorrect. Really is with the relationship piece now. That relationship, the relationships you have within the coaches within your recruiting area. To trust them and for them to give you the real inside scoop on their athletes and if they're really truly a fit for your university. So I really think it's almost a glass half full type concept.
Right, Coach Hall.
It's funny because as I think about, like, I truly believe there are more athletes than there are schools. Right. I'm never short of hearing about a guy who needs a home who has a 3.5, 1250, right? And so I'm a believer that we can recruit Bobcats and not other cats. And it's up to families to discern if they want to be a Bobcat. We have something to offer just as much as the next school. But every coach alluded to it. If we have does not fit, it will be a commitment based off of football or based off your relationship with a coach. And we're not a football factory. We have a passion for football, but more importantly, we have a love for the student athlete. And so that disconnect will happen once that high ankle sprain comes into play. And we talk about transfers and the transfer portal. I encourage families to, hear what everyone has to offer and evaluate Bates College and our Bobcat football club as is. And do you see yourself having success in the vision, in the seed that we plant as we continue to go in recruiting? And if so, in the academics fit, in the campus fit, which is a little different today, then welcome to the Bobcat Posse. But I believe that every kid has a home out here. Every kid has a home. I don't know that home always finds that kid or that kid finds a home. But like Coach said, I can't be upset if a kid decides to choose Trinity over us.
Right.
Like, he's not a Bobcat. He's another kid. And hats off. You know what I mean? Like, I believe in competition, and I don't run from it, but I also believe in a good fit. And so that's our mantra. Like, we want Bobcats. Recruit Bobcats, not other cats. If they give you a feel that, hey, Coach, I'm not really interested in coming to Maine, they don't want to come to vacation land. I understand. It's vacation land. But all in all, I think everyone has their it factor, and just as student athletes do the same, but it's up to them to discern between the two.
Coach Kreider, appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's on both ends. I think you got to be deliberate with what you're doing. As far as the recruits, they have to evaluate the coaches that they're talking to, because you got to be able to try to see through the guys who are telling you what you want to hear, and you got to be, with figuring out who's being real with you. And you have to be deliberate with the questions that you're asking these coaches. Like, what is their purpose? What do they believe in? What are the values of their program? And how are you going to invest in the things that I believe in? And you have to be prepared as a recruit to know what you believe in. And now this is something that as coaches, we've been there year in and year out, and we ask similar questions to guys to try to get to know who they are. So as a recruit, this is your first time doing this. So every time that you talk to a coach, every conversation that you have, try to do it deliberately. Like, have some questions in mind, because at first you're really not going to know exactly what you're looking for because you've never been in college before. You've never been on a campus before. But add to your repertoire every coach that you talk to. Don't just get on the phone just to get on the phone. feel the guy out. Try to understand what they're about, what the purpose behind their program is, so that you can start to develop yours, because you need to know what you're looking for in order to find the right place for you. And in order to do that, you've got to ask the right questions too. So questions about purpose and belief, deliberate questions. I use the same words over and over because they're important. Right. You have to do things on purpose, intentionally. Make those questions so that you're gaining something from it. I think, on both ends, you got to make sure you're asking the right questions, but develop an understanding of what you're looking for so that when you do ask the coaches, you're starting to answer the questions that you're looking for.
Coach Carter.
I think all of these coaches have hit on it. I think it's a two-way street. And when I'm out looking to recruit a young man, yes, I'm going to give him all the best attributes to my institution and what's great about Juniata College. But I also want to know, I want to make sure I'm giving him the information that helps him see why it's a great fit. There's a million things that are great about each of these individual institutions, but 99% of them won't matter to that young man and his family. Or each piece will be a little different. And it's important that we as coaches allow our recruits and their families to talk and hear about what's important to them, because I want to make sure that they understand what we have that will help them in achieving what they are looking for, and also help them to understand what's expected of them. I think Coach Hall mentioned Bates isn't a football factory. Neither is Juniata. And, I would bet none of us is putting out an NFL player in the last 5 years or so. And so we have to make sure that, prospective student athletes and their families know what the expectations are and how things are done, not in a way that puts them on the defensive, but in a way that they know what they're getting into. They understand what this next 4 years of their life is going to be about, and making sure they're making a solid decision for them, because what may be a good fit for person A is not going to be a great fit for person B, and right on down the line. And it's all about finding the right fit for you. Coach Hall said that there's a program for every guy. They may not always find it. They may not always find each other, but there is a program for everyone. And when you find that program that's the right fit, you know it. You truly know it, and you don't really see a reason to transfer out to another place or to look at other places. You figure it out. You know that that's the right place for you and what you need and what you're hoping for.
All right. Thank you. One last question before taking a break. Coach Palazzo, what are the top three things that Montclair looks for in a student athlete?
I don't know if I can put a number on all the things that we're trying to value in our program, but I believe that the first thing I look at when I walk into a school is attendance. And I know that sounds probably a little bit different, but to us, attendance is the only stat that matters. If you're not there, the best availability is the best ability is availability, right? So I look at a kid's attendance when I walk in. I look at the transcript. Obviously, that's important. Got to see if we can work with their grades. Look at their film, and you obviously want to see if they're the right fit for you in your program. I think I'm naming more than three. But the last thing I would say is communication. That's the biggest thing when I recruit a kid, is if he's getting back to me, he's answering my questions, he's got questions for me. I have no problem when I'm recruiting a kid and he communicates well with me and he calls me up and says, "Hey, coach, I'm deciding to go into a different direction." I respect that. The guys that I text, "Hey, we're interested. Hey, we want to get you up on a visit, this, that, and the third," and they're not getting back to me right away, those are the guys that just take off the board. Because if they can't communicate clearly with me now, then they're going to have trouble working through college and being able to communicate with professors and other people. So I'm sorry, I think I said more than three.
Oh, that's good. That's fine. I got you.
Those are some of the things
I feel compelled to ask Coach Argent from Bates College, who's the recruiting coordinator, a question, because I got him just listening over there. But my question is, I assume that now we're getting more people on the board than we ever had, right? Because you guys got the whole internet. A lot of people that you have a lot of time devoted to recruiting. So how are you handling eliminating, the kids? Because that's what I'm assuming.
I think you try and do things in stages with recruiting, and really the next stage we've kind of focused on is right now we're providing them with as much internet information as we can. The next phase is when school opens up again, can you and your parents get to campus? Okay, that's going to eliminate a good number of kids that don't want to drive to Lewiston, Maine and check out campus. Obviously, we're going to encourage the ones that have caught our eye and that we think are a good fit based on our experience. But, there are things in place that naturally eliminate kids, whether it's financial aid, whether it's grades, whether it's a kid gets nervous and he wants to stay closer to home, all those different things. So, the saying is, hey, it'll work itself out. And it sounds like a cop-out, but really it does work a large portion of it out. And then after that, you focus on the kids that you want, and hopefully you get the ones you want. And then if you don't, you go look for more. I mean, it's a constant process of evaluating and reevaluating where you are, where that kid's at, and what the next steps are going to be.
Excellent. I want to take a break to encourage listeners to subscribe to our YouTube channel and social media accounts to get weekly posts and more information on recruiting and anything else related to high school athletics and academics. But now I want to shift the remainder of my questions to student athletes' perspective. In other words, what should a student athlete be incorporating into his recruiting strategy in light of COVID-19? So the first question I have is for Coach Hall. What is the best way for a high school athlete to get exposure at this time?
Man, I think at this point, man, the one-day camp circuit, the summer camp circuit, every day that margin of that window is kind of stagnating. So at this point, I've actually been amazed with the ingenuity of student athletes setting up workout shops in their front yard. I think everything helps. I watched a quarterback yesterday, and he threw between his trees, so he was working on a sidearm throw, and then he threw on top of the leaf, like on the branch, so he could throw down on it. I mean, that part of being a millennium, that part of your youth, of your creativity, let it fly. Because if we do not have a football 20 season, we're going to evaluate sophomore and junior film. Every coach will. And so every coach is looking for that next bit of information, that next clip. In today's case, because of COVID, how many clicks can I get on this student athlete in doing what he does?
Coach Hicks, what's the best way for a student athlete to contact your school, to contact you through either email, social media, phone calls? What's the best way that you'd recommend student athlete?
Yeah, it's a great question. I really think it comes down to, I think it's coach's choice based off of the coaches that they're dealing with. Some coaches are more active on Twitter. Some coaches check their email every 30 minutes, every other hour. Some guys are constantly on their phones. The best way for me, call me. Call me or text me. Call me directly, hear my voice. I want to hear your voice. Nothing drives me crazier than when a recruit I just followed him on Twitter, or he just followed me on Twitter, and all he does is just sends me his his huddle link. No introduction, no, this is where I play, this is who I am, this is how I found out about AIC. Give me a call. Hey, Coach Hicks, this is Billy Bob from Harrison High School. All right, I saw some of your information. A few of my friends currently play for the school. I wanted to send you my huddle link and introduce myself, learn more about the university. Great. Now you stick out, right? Because everybody, especially the world these kids live in, right, or student athletes live in, everything is social media, virtual reality. They're not very accustomed to picking up. There's not a lot of kids who pick up the phone and call or text or reach out that way. It's all just the easy, mass, just like players want to feel that they're truly being recruited and they're not being told a bunch of lies. We want to feel as coaches, right, that you're truly interested in our school, because there's some people, there's some players that just love the fact of being recruited, right? They come up to your university and they want the nice jersey, the backdrop, the flex, the Twitter picture, the clout, but they're not really there to be to be a Yellow Jacket or to be a Cougar or a Bobcat, right? And they're there because they love the fact of being recruited. So to answer your question, a little long-winded, give me a call directly or shoot me a DM that's detailed, and you'll stick out.
Right. And I saw Coach Carter shaking his head. You still might get a lot of emails, I'm sure, Coach. And I'm wondering, out of all the texts and emails and DMs that you're getting, what really gets your attention? When you see a player, you say, I'm going to follow up with this guy. What does he have to do that?
The things that get my attention are kind of in line with what Coach Hicks said. When a guy, he's showing interest, but he's got the information that I'm going to need. You know, his GPA, his test scores, what classes he's planning on taking. If he's done some research on my program in my institution, you know, what good is it if he doesn't care enough to know, okay, I'm getting into this and I'm talking to the football coach, but I know when I'm dealing with the situation, if I want to know about the academics of a place, I can get a lot better information from the school and from admissions and people there than I'm ever going to get from a football coach. Football, we know that stuff, but if you want to get into the nitty gritty of, hey, where you send in all of your biology majors for med school, you got to talk to the people who know that stuff. Talk to the people who are experts in that. We know about football. We know generally a ton of stuff about the college, and we'll always know that stuff. But when I get a young man who's done some of his own background, I know that he's serious, and those are the type of guys I'm gonna lean towards, because I know that they are gonna get back to me. They are gonna pay attention, and when they get questions, they're gonna pay attention to the answers that they get because it's important to them.
That makes sense. Coach Kreider, how important is the high school coach or position coach in your recruiting process?
Yeah, I mean, those guys are always very, very honest with you. And for the most part, especially being a New Jersey university, I get to see the same guys every year, and you develop a relationship with them. And I think that the relationship that you have with your high school head coach is really important. Coach hit on it in the beginning. We talk about consistency and the ability to trust. Trustworthiness is extremely important to us. And we'll find that out from the coach. Hey, listen, this guy's phenomenal, but you don't want to be described as one of those guys, right? Because when you have a 4 years with your high school head coach, he's going to get to understand who you are, how accountable you are, how dependable you are. So don't be described as he is XYZ, but blah, blah, blah. He's phenomenal in the weight room and on top of it, like find a way to be better and just aspire to be better. Talk to your coach. How can I do these things better? Because when we go and we ask them questions, hey, how is he attendance-wise? How is he on the field? Is he a practice player? And does he show up on game day? What's his attitude like? What happens when plays aren't good? You know, how is he when he makes a mistake? Does he respond quickly or does he dwell on it? So, you know, the head coach is extremely important. And then when you start talking about position coach, well, how does this kid like to be coached? Does he take to being coached well? Is he going to listen and try to apply it to what he's doing? So, you know, I think it's really important that you're keeping that in mind when you're on the practice field and in the relationships that you have with your coaches in high school.
Absolutely. Coach Palazzo, at what point should a student athlete reach out to you? Freshman year, sophomore year?
I think it's before your junior year. I think if you're a freshman or sophomore and you want to get started with the process, start looking at what fits academically for you or what you're looking for in a college process, because a lot of times you might not be playing varsity football yet. So it's hard for us to evaluate that. And we don't want to turn a guy like that away, but want you to be interested. You know, we don't want just firing out emails like Coach Hicks was saying before, just emailing every coach in sight. And, you know, you'd be going to South Dakota and you don't want to go to South Dakota, you know. So we want, I think as a freshman or sophomore, if you're not playing varsity yet, you can get started, but get started because you're interested in the school and how far away it is and financially. But we really start working a lot with junior year. Once the junior year starts, that's when we start really getting heavy in the recruiting process. This time of year, right now, we'd be doing junior evaluations and be getting into the schools. So I think junior year is the best time to start, but I'm not against the freshman or sophomore reaching out, and certainly I'll give him as much information as he needs.
Yeah. Or also maybe a freshman might go to a camp just to learn and even compete, just to understand what's required. But more likely a sophomore, I guess.
Well, the thing for us, Coach, is it's the trickle-down effect a little bit. I mean, if I go and see a freshman at camp and he really wows me, he might grow up to be a Division I football player by the time he's a junior or senior, and I might not have a shot at him. So it's tough sometimes to really fall in love with a recruit early in their career because they're still growing, and they, I might have a kid I really like, and he might grow to get an offer from Coach Hicks, because he's Division II. So that's the difficult part of our jobs as Division III coaches is navigating through that process. Sometimes you get started on a kid too early, you might get your heart broken a little bit.
All right, I got one more question. Coach Hicks, can you walk us through your recruiting process, meaning the selection process your staff goes through? At what point, let's say, does a student athlete enter the funnel, and then how does it finally get out to be an actual offer?
That's a great question. So with every position for us is different, and to start with the foundation of the recruiting process, we start with identifying at the end of each year our needs, right? What do we need? And where are our holes? Where are our deficits? Where do we need to get better in order to compete for an A-10 championship? And, we're always going to take football players first, right? Guys who can play football. So if we have two quarterbacks and we find a really, really good quarterback who can play and compete and is interested in our school, we're not going to not take that guy. Right. But we do come up with some priorities and where we want to get some early offers out there. I'll give you an example of my recruiting board. I recruit New Jersey. I was a high school football coach in New Jersey prior to coming to AIC. So I have a good grasp on the conferences and the coaches. And I don't know some of these guys personally, but I know the names. We'll identify a guy. We'll get his film up. We'll go through his grading process. He'll be graded out by first the area coach, then the positional coach, and then obviously our head coach, Chris Colzer. And then Coach Colzer will really be the one who pulls the trigger on offering. And when I say offering, I mean the guys that we're going to give athletic scholarships to. And just as competitive as recruiting is externally against Pace, Stonehill, Bentley, New Haven, it is equally as competitive with getting your recruits, right? Because we're all type A guys for the most part, getting your recruits, the guys that are getting those scholarships. So we'll evaluate them. Then we'll meet everybody in person, right? We'll do a home visit where the area coach will be accompanied by our head coach. We'll meet mom, we'll meet dad, we'll meet girlfriends, we'll meet brothers, we'll meet sisters. You're not just taking Andrew Sanborn, right? You're getting the entire Sanborn clan, the whole cavalry. They're going to be the ones at the games. They're going to be the ones traveling. They're a part of our family, so we take it very seriously. We want to meet everybody, and it is a part of the evaluation process. Players play other sports, great, we love it. No football coach, those days are over where guys just play football, right? You play basketball, I'll be at your basketball game because I want to see how you react when you turn the ball over, when you don't think that Coach Hicks is in the stands, because Coach Hicks is going to come recruit you. You're going to put on that dog and pony show, and it's all going to be nicey nice, but now you play baseball, you struck out looking on a ball, right, that they call a strike. How does he react, right? What's going on? Now you get a whole different dynamic, right, of that player. So we really go very in-depth with guys like that, and we go from soup to nuts. We're meeting them in person. We have them up on campus. We do the tour. We overnight them. We want to make sure that they're evaluating us. And I think it was Coach Palazzo, but I could be incorrect. The recruits, we want them to evaluate us just as much, right? Because we're going to be the ones that you're around more than anybody. So we want to make sure that just as we get the luxury to evaluate you, tell you what you can do, what you can't do, what you need to improve upon, you guys get to do the same exact as an athlete. You get to do the same thing with the coaching staff.
Excellent. I'm going to go around the squares again and get your final thoughts and recommendations for student athletes that want to play at your school. What would you recommend to them? And I'll start with Coach Carter.
For guys that want to come to Juniata and play, I'm looking for three things. I want guys that are high character guys. I want guys that are valuing their education and understand the level of education they're going to get at an institution like Juniata College. And then I want guys that are super passionate about playing the game of football. I understand that your college, your college career is not limited to just playing football, but understand that the role I play in it is heavily predicated on the game of football. And I would rather not be getting guys who are using me, just like I'm not trying to use those guys. I'm trying to give them the full experience, make them the best football players possible while they're getting the best education possible. So that level of passion is important to me, because I want guys that are coming in and want to spend 4 years playing football, whether they're the All-American who's the captain, or the guy who doesn't possibly get an opportunity to play except in garbage time. You know, I want a guy that's going to be committed and dedicated to the team, because we're something bigger than just the individual. And those are the important things to me. And at that point, I want guys, I understand that guys need to have the right level of grades and academics. And I'm very upfront and honest with guys. You know, we can get guys that are better than 3.0 and 1,000 or higher in SAT. And there's always a little bit of wiggle room with that, but we want guys that are high character guys, you know, valued education and passionate about the game of football. If I get those three things, the rest of it I can figure out in terms of their talent level and what they're capable to do and how they can help the program and get themselves through.
Thank you, Coach. Coach Kreider.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're looking for guys. It's a 3-part deal, right? We want to find people who are good character people, who want to go to school and are damn good football players. And at the end of the day, like, we want to find people who want to surround themselves with like-minded people, guys who are hard workers, motivated to be better. And you want to find people who are going to drive you to do the things that are going to get you the long-term goals in life. A lot of times, like, that short-term pleasure, it is really, really incentive. Like, you want it really bad, but it's about striving for the long term. So sacrificing the short-term pleasure for the long-term success, finding the people that have the mindset that they can develop that thing so that by the time they leave here in 4 years, they're prepared to not only walk into an interview, but to crush it. We want guys who are calm, cool, and collected when they need to be sharp. And that's what we need on the football field. We need that in the classroom. And so we want guys who are motivated. We want guys to work hard. We want guys who are look to be pushed. And so when you aspire to do that, show it to us when we communicate. Like Coach Hicks said, don't just send me your huddle link. Have a conversation. How am I going to know that you're passionate about the game unless we talk about the game? Tell me about your best play. Tell me about your best game. Like, those are the things that inspire us. It's an exciting game. It's played with passion. Share your passion with us. Share a belief, because belief drives behavior. And the whole job of having a culture that you believe in is finding a place that's going to drive the behavior that wins. Right. And that's what our program's about. So if you're looking for those things, reach out to us, have a conversation, but that's football.
Yeah. Coach Palazzo. Excellent.
I want guys that want to be Red Hawks. And that's kind of an all-encompassing phrase. Like, I want guys that want to be with us, because if you want to be at Montclair State and you've done your homework, you're motivated, you've gone through the process, and you feel that Montclair State is the best fit for you, you're going to do all those little things that are going to make you a better football player and a better student and a better person. We're Division III. We're non-scholarship. Nobody's telling you have to be here. Right? You don't have to go to practice every day. If you don't want to, you don't have to play football. It's Division III. So I need motivated guys. They want to be there. They're going to practice hard every day. I want 4-year guys. We're not interviewing you for a 1-year position. We're interviewing you for a 4-year position. And I've seen a lot on social media. It's not just 4 years now, it's 40 years. For the next 40 years, your college career is going to be determined by what you do. So I think it's important that you find motivated guys that are going to do the right things and do the little things when they get there.
Excellent. Coach Hall?
I've made the statement we want Bobcats, not other cats. The detail on that is, we're a high academic institution. We're part of the next cat. So, that makeup in itself, much like the Ivy, comes with the idea that I'm not here just to play football. But ultimately, our mantra is the harvest, and the harvest continues. We want people who want to plant a seed for their future, right? Bates College and the Bobcat football program, its whole job is to make sure that your seed truly harvests past the football program, past your 4 years at Bates, to where you now are just not a graduate of Bates. You are an ambassador of Bates College. You are an ambassador of Bobcat football. And so we're looking for guys who want that type of harvest and who are not afraid to plant a seed, because we're a rural urban area. And so we're not New York City, we're not Boston, but we're also not all farmland. And so, but I still think it's fitting that you have to plant a seed to get what you want. You have to work into that seed. You have to sow in that seed. And that seed could be academic. That seed can be athletic. And that seed can be civic engagement. And so all three of those components are what we're looking for. I'm barring that you have the academic prowess and you're interested in being a Bobcat, not a other cat, you'll be more than welcomed here.
I like that. Well, let's finish with Coach Hicks.
So before I even talk about what I like to recruits to possess, the advice I give every single recruit that I meet, when they're identifying this, not every school is for everybody. Every coach agrees on that, and it's probably touched on tonight. There's a few things that you really need to identify when the recruiting process, because it's a super tricky and confusing process, especially if you're the first in your family to ever do it. So identify first and foremost, can I get into the school that's recruiting me, right? Or are you wasting mom and dad's money taking these visits for the jersey, backdrop pictures? Can I get into the school, right? After, if I get into the school, does the school offer the major that I'm potentially looking to pursue? And I understand, I changed my major probably 3 times in college, but having an idea and, hey, does that school have what I'm looking to pursue a career in? And then how far am I willing to live from home? Because guys, I hear it all the time. If I get an offer to come play, I'm there, coach. Well, what's there? Is it 9 hours away? Is it 3 hours away at AIC from New Jersey? Is it, around the corner at a Kean or Montclair? I'll go anywhere, right? So identifying those foundational preferences, everyone's preferences are different, and that's where everyone's going to take their own crossroads with the recruiting process. The biggest thing that I look for in a player or a recruit, are they committed or are they just interested? Because that's committed to me is the dirtiest word in college football that recruits can use. They are committed to social media and the image and the clout, but it's easy to be committed on game day. It's easy to be committed when you're putting on a ring. It's easy to be committed when you're getting that, you have that reputation around campus that you're a football guy. But are you committed in February at 5:45? Right? Because Coach Colzer he's a different guy, and he's pushing that guys here at AIC are AI elite. And if you're AI elite, we compete academically, athletically, and socially. And that means up early, late nights, watching film, working out, handling your business in the classroom, handling your business in the community. Really understand what you're saying when you tell a coach, any level, Division I, Division II, Division III, whatever. Make sure you understand what it means to be committed, because it's a lot more than, there's a lot that goes on after you put that pen to paper and you get that picture and put it somewhere. It's a lot more than that. So I make sure that guys are committed and not interested.
Excellent. Well, I sincerely want to thank all of you for taking the time first and to participate in the webinar. I believe you all provided some important insight for student athletes. And so they want to play college football, but they're currently challenged with the effects of COVID-19. I think with all the comments that you provided, and even if COVID-19 wasn't here, these are things that you really need to employ and incorporate into your strategy, whether you're a freshman, sophomore, and so on. So again, I want to thank you, and I look forward to working with you in the future and hope that you stay healthy and blessed. All right, guys, thank you.
Henry, thank you so much for the opportunity. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.